era that will be defined by climate change, then fighting climate change needs to be a meaningful part of your life. There's no excuse for fiddling while the planet burns. Those words come from my next guest, Tom Steyer. The billionaire investor left Wall Street over a decade ago to devote his life to fighting climate change. He has a sustainable ranch and invests in clean tech companies. He has funded pro-climate candidates and activism and mounted a presidential run himself in 2019. Now he's written a book called Cheaper, Faster, Better: How We'll Win the Climate War. Tom, welcome. So let me ask you, the first question that comes to mind is, if you are saying that right now we have green technologies that are cleaner, faster, better, why isn't the problem solved? In other words, won't firms just adopt the thing that is cleaner, faster, better? Why do you need to write this book? And why is it that when you look at the amount of energy we consume, we're still close to 80% fossil fuels, which is about where we were 35 years ago?
Last year, 2023, in terms of new electricity generation globally, 86% of it was renewable.
That's electricity.
Yes.
That doesn't count transportation fuel.
No.
That doesn't count the stuff that goes into plastics.
Absolutely. But if you look at that, that is a place where that is a huge part of what's driving the future, because we are going to electrify the planet. Mm-hmm. We are going to have electric cars. We are going to electrify our homes.
But then we've got to make sure that electricity is not being provided by coal.
Absolutely. And my point is, the new electricity generation is 86% renewable. The issue is not what's being built, it's what's being kept. We have a lot of dirty old fossil fuel plants around the world that need to be replaced.
But wouldn't they be replaced if it's cheaper, faster, better?
There's a difference between replacing a plant that's already been built and building a new plant. It's got to be enormously cheaper to replace a plant where you've already spent all the capital expenditures to put it in place, as opposed to if you're going to build a new plant, then you put them side by side and pick the cheaper, better alternative. What we're seeing around the world, though, is that cheaper, faster, better alternative that it also happens to be clean is coming in multiple places.
So it seems clear now, solar and in some places wind is cleaner, faster, cheaper. But people say the problem is the sun doesn't always shine, the wind doesn't always blow, and you need, backup capacity, what's called baseload capacity, or you need the ability to store that energy from the sun or the wind for long periods of time. Mm-hmm. What is the solution going to be to create that baseload capacity?
Right now, enhanced geothermal exists, is competitive in terms of price. The question is, how big can it be? My experience is when you start looking for something, you start finding a lot more than when you aren't looking for it. It is something which could be really big, but we need to find out how much electricity generation can come from basically steam and hot water thousands of feet below the Earth's surface. Secondly, when you talked about batteries, in order to turn solar and wind into permanent energy sources, you need to store them. And right now, there are batteries, but they don't have very long duration. It's a matter of hours. I have talked to the people working on the new battery generations. They are very confident that we will have a couple of revolutions in battery duration this decade. So by 2030, we'll be in a place where we can store enough energy so we confidently get to 80% renewables on the grid. And the last thing is whether we can do safe, small-grade nuclear energy.
Modular.
In all cases, the comparison is to natural gas, because natural gas is thought to be a bridge fuel. The issue here is that natural gas solves a short-term economic problem, the need to have baseload fuel, and assumes that that's the problem you're trying to solve. But it ignores a larger forcing mechanism, which is we need to have an inhabitable planet. And it is very hard to look at the costs to the planet of building all that fossil fuel infrastructure for the next 35 to 50 years and think that somehow that's going to be okay.
So what are you trying to change in the world by writing this book and by doing the things you're doing?
Well, the point of the book is to try to combat what I think are the two preeminent memes around climate and energy. The first one is that this society is driven by fossil fuels, and it always will be. So give up on the idea there's going to be a change there. That's just not true. The second one is we're in a doom loop. There's nothing we can do to solve this problem. Basically, throw up your hands. I'm saying the technology and the ability to solve it is way better than people understand. In the past, when America has decided something's important, and we've gone about it together to do it, we've succeeded. It's been a point of huge national pride. It's really what this country was invented for, was to be the leader in terms of societal change and doing the right thing. I'm asking people to join together and pitch in to win.
On that optimistic note, Tom Steyer, pleasure to have you on.
Fareed, thank you.
Next on GPS, Bangladesh has been beset by chaos after its leader was forced to flee the country. I'll tell you what lessons this crisis can teach us about the rest of the world when we come back.